Ralph Fusatola, JD here. Voting third party this November is the only vote not wasted. Voting third party furthers the disruptive agenda. Ben Shapiro, writing in the Daily Wire June 14th, said he was shocked that FBI agents would interfere with American elections and particularly in the 2016 presidential election. Quote, buried in the Department of Justice Inspector General's report, a report that found no political bias in the actions of the FBI during the Hillary investigation, is one massive bombshell. A text from FBI agent Peter Strzok to his lover, FBI agent Lisa Page. Here is the insane exchange circa August 2016. Page, quote, Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right. Strzok, no, he won't. We'll stop it. End quote. We'll stop it? How in the world could an FBI agent, and not just an FBI agent, but a key, high-ranking FBI agent involved in both the Hillary Clinton investigation and the Russian election interference investigation, text this? And more importantly, how could the IG then find that no political bias was present in the actions of the FBI? End quote. My comment posted to the Shapiro article was as follows, quote, while I doubt that Mr. Shapiro is really shocked, he does write by pointing to the FBI's interference in the election. If you want a deep state strong enough to guarantee security, you will get a deep state strong enough to guide the electoral process. We are not just witnessing deep state corruption in the FBI. We are seeing how all power corrupts. If you want a return to a free republic, both Republicans and Democrats in Congress must reassert our representatives' control over the government. Or failing that, and fail Congress will, we the people must vote for third-party candidates this November to send a clear message of rejection of the deep state takeover. End quote. That is the theme I take up here. Voting for the GOP or the Democrats is a vote for the deep state. Such a vote is worse than wasted. It allows the two tax-eater party leaders to pretend to have public support, the sanction of the victim. The only vote that is not wasted is a vote for any third-party candidate. Only someone willing to stand for Congress on a ticket other than the duopoly parties is someone we might be able to trust in Congress. Continuing Donald Trump's disruptive impact on American politics requires a real shakeup of voting habits. What impact will third-party votes have on the way the ruling parties govern? Historically, American third parties have often set the agenda for the governing coalitions, even though the two-party system has been maintained as a structure in which the elites are able to contain their rivalries. There are numerous examples of significant policy changes from the end of slavery through alcohol prohibition of the effect of third-party movements throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. Independent campaigns, such as those of former Governor George Wallace, the last independent candidate to win electoral votes in multiple states in 1968, connected businessman Ross Perot and politician John Anderson determined the scope of presidential politics throughout the second half of the 20th century. What impact will future third-party votes have on electoral outcomes? Let's look at the Libertarian Party votes over the last three presidential elections. I addressed that in more detail in other articles, but let me quote that here. Quote, the recent trend in Libertarian Party presidential vote results is clearly upward. 2008, 523,000, about 0.4% of the vote. 2012, 1,275,000, just about 1% of the vote. And 2016, 4,488,000, 3.28% of the vote. Note that the 2016 total, when two former two-term GOP governors carried the LP banner, was substantially larger than the 2.9 million vote difference between the two tax-eater parties that year. End quote. Third-party votes most likely prevented Hillary Clinton from becoming president. During the 2017 off-year election, LP candidates garnered anywhere from 1% to 45% of the votes cast in particular local elections. As far back as the presidential election of 1972, the LP candidate for president did receive an electoral vote in Virginia. Voter participation as a percent of VAP, voting age population, peaked, interestingly, in 1860 at 81% and has slowly declined to 2016's 55.5%. The lowest was 50.3% in 2000. As the voting percentage has declined in recent years, however, the percentage of people who are regularly voting for third parties has grown. This is confirmed by the above-noted LP presidential votes over the past 3 cycles. So the question becomes, what is a patriotic American to do when faced with the choices on the ballot this coming November? Voting for either Democrats or Republicans just encourages the continuation of the current situation, a Congress unable to reform the broken progressive entitlement programs that are leading us to ruin, unable to protect the peace, our security, and especially our liberties. The federal government still chooses to borrow about 40% of its bloated budget, policing the world to make it safe for Chinese commerce, while failing to provide safe roads, bridges, and schools here in America. While the deregulation Trump boom may paper over the fundamentals for a while, we are still faced with extraordinary increases in the federal debt, which are themselves papered over by the Federal Reserve buying nearly all new Treasury bonds and inflating the money supply as a result. This Keynesian debt time bomb will blow up the boom sooner or later, especially since the president in years past had famously stated, "I love debt." The two tax eater parties need to fear a taxpayer revolt again. Taxed enough already. That revolt is always expressed by refusing to vote for the duopoly parties. They do indeed watch the numbers carefully. If even 10% of the voters started regularly voting third party, the duopoly would shudder. If a third did so, it would collapse, and the deadlock in D.C. would be replaced by new alliances and new approaches. The power of disruptive politics has been proven by the Trump presidency. Now it needs to move beyond Trump. Your vote counts, but only if you don't vote Democrat or Republican. I think it's tea time again. This has been Ralph Fusatola, JD, and this has been my opinion.